happened? Might as well cue another intro.
Matt McMahon Productions presents something so scary, something so terrifying, something that is so jaw-dropping, you'll be begging for answers. It'll blow your mind. Introducing...
Absolutely nothing, now go away. If you couldn't tell by the video, the definition of anticlimax is that. The disappointing end, in the sense of the video, was when I was preluding to a very awesome event that could potentially happen, then stating it was absolutely nothing. The exciting events were, of course, the faces and tones of my voice. Now let's move on to the literary example. My literary example is from Harrison Bergeron. The reason why I chose this story, besides it being the only example I could find, is because Harrison becomes this giant automaton of a person, heading out a revolution and changing of society. An uproar, if you will. Then gets shot down by measly guns.
Lie in your bed and wallow in your pain, while the neurotoxins of corruption infiltrate your brain.
The couple is two lines of verse, using the same meter and joined by rhyme, forming a unit, as shown by this example from my poem, Sickness. This verse does rhyme. It is in the first verse, and at least by my standards, is in the same meter. The example of couplet from our readings is pretty obvious. It's Romeo and Juliet. There are so many couplets in the story. I could use any of them, but I'm going to go with Act 1, Scene 5, verse 138 to 139. The line goes as follows. My only love sprung on my only hate, too early seen unknown, and known too late. It as well follows the same formula. If you refer back to the definition, there really is no need for any more explanation. Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Matt. Oh! No, I'm a ghost now.
I'm here to save you.
I'm alive again! Deus Ex Machina, in modern terms, means an unexpected power event saving a hopeless situation, especially as a plot device in a player novel. The video started out with me saying something then died. Now being a ghost, it's kinda hard to go unghost. That is the hopeless situation. The unexpected power was the alien that came to save me. After that, I became alive. I will now go on to the literary example. Deus Ex Machina was originally used in the play The Odyssey. It is used when Athena gives Odysseus a beggar appearance when he comes home to Ithaca. This really does end up saving him from a hopeless situation. The hopeless situation is the fact that he has to reclaim his kingdom from thieves and villains without being spotted. Once I encountered a ghost, but not an ordinary ghost. This ghost was here to haunt me for reasons I could not grasp. He said to me,
"The influences of society have pushed me to kill myself. Since you are part of society, I have chosen to haunt you for all eternity."
But the boy cannot understand. I am not an active member of society. The fabric of society and all its corruptness is something that I don't want to take part in. But the boy did not care. He told me that society is something you can't opt out of. It is a group of which you must take full responsibility for what happens to others. His logic stated that I was responsible for his suicide. His sorrow and misery is not one of his chemical imbalance, but is one of others' influences. I couldn't believe him, nor did I want to believe him. So I told him, the decisions you make are your responsibility. The only one to haunt is you, for you are the bringer of your death. Therefore, you should pay the consequences of suicide. That day he bothered me no more. My life went on, and his soul was now gone. Allegory means a story, poem, or picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning, typically a moral or a political one. The story of suicide is a poem that does indeed have a hidden message. While on the outside, it may seem like a simple story about an encounter with a ghost, it was actually referring to the gay teen suicides of 2011, the time I wrote this. I made the poem in response to all the people saying that society was to blame, and the people who bullied the teens should keep it as an eternal burden. Sorry to tell these people, but suicide is the fault of only one person. Even if that person was bullied to hell, abused, handed a shotgun, and told directly to blow his or her brains out, it was still his or her fault. I shouldn't be told to feel bad for them. I didn't know them. I couldn't prevent it. And I wasn't there. In fact, no one was there to help them, hence why they were successful. I could go on about this, but I should state my example now. My literary example is from The Sniper. Sniper is an allegory for anti-war. It shows the turmoil, misery, and suffering of war. It is especially exemplified with the twist ending of the main character killing his brother. He goes through the whole story thinking he is fighting for what is right, but then grieves for what he has lost because of it.
This is gonna be a puppet show about motivation. Let's do it. You killed my father! Well, you killed my mother! Let's kill each other! Bam! In your face. That's how you do motivation.
Motivation means the reason or reasons that one has for acting or behaving in a particular way. As you saw in this silly video, the monkeys had a reason for wanting to kill one another, and then doing so. The reason because is that they kill each other's parents. Now that we have established a reason behind my outside example, it is time to go to my literary one. The example I'm going to choose is the Cask of Amontillado, where our main character Montresor wants to kill his enemy Fortunato because he insulted him. This is the story of the albino peacock. Let's begin. The albino peacock story begins in a humble part of Greenfield. It's just farms everywhere. And in this farms, there was one peculiar animal that I saw during my trip. Let me explain. While we were driving, we all of a sudden, we're slowing down, we're looking at the animals and stuff, but all of a sudden we heard a honk, honk. We look outside and there's an albino peacock. It's a real peacock too. We can tell because it has feathers and it looked like a peacock, but it was white. Snow white, red eyes, everything. Everything that shows it's albino. The worst part was, it was stuck in a cage. It was a giant cage, it's a giant animal, and it was just like a suburban house. It looked like a suburban house with a giant albino peacock. And I kid you not, when we left and we came back later on in the week, it wasn't there. We drive there several times, it's still not there. It's my anecdote, so hey, watching, goodbye. Anecdote means a short, amusing, or interesting story about a real incident or person. Believe it or not, this short story I told actually did happen. Oh, and if the story about an albino peacock in Greenfield isn't amusing, I don't know what is. Moving on to my literary example, I chose Of Mice and Men, mainly because of the story that was told to Lenny to comfort him when he was sad or scared. The story was short, to the point, and although it wasn't about a real event, it was an amusing and interesting story. It meets the bare minimum of requirements for the definition, and it's very notable. Dialect means a particular form of language that's peculiar to a specific region or social group. As you all may know, I am from America, but specifically I was born in East Indianapolis. Now that is the central area of Indiana. So, what we can conclude from that is that I have a generic American accent, right? And America is a very small part of the world, so you can say it's peculiar, right? Now what's my point? My point is that I'm speaking in dialect right now. I can make a joke, I can make a story, I can make anything, but it doesn't matter because I'm talking dialect right now. Now that I've given an example, if you can call it that, I will now move on to my literary example. My literary example is from Of Mice and Men, where they twist word spellings and phrasings to make it sound more southern-like. Since the South is a peculiar region of America, I think it hones in on the term even more than my example. Hurry, hand me the scalpel before this man dies from blood coagulation. Do you want this man to die from neural imbalance? I don't even know what you're talking about. Jargon means special words or expressions that are used in a particular profession or group and are difficult for others to understand. The words I was using in the outside example were words normally doctors would use. The person responding had no idea, and this was because he wasn't a doctor. The example I'm going to use for our readings is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Walter Mitty's daydreams show him going through various situations in his head, and all of them specifically adapt the jargon of the professions he's taking a role in. This book manages to use doctor, navy, army, lawyer, and even British jargon if you count all the real life scenarios in the book. I even have the audacity to say that this whole story's vocabulary is based on jargon.
Let me explain how I became a ghost. It happened on one spring.
Hey guys, it's going on!
Oh no, I'm a ghost. Somehow again. One. Doobie-doo. That's how I became a ghost. I realized that the alien company.
That shot does not mean jack.
Okay.
Yay! Literally meaning in the middle in Latin. In medias res is where a story starts from the middle plot point, recollects to the past point, and finally comes back to conclude the plot. My example is a basic version of this. It shows me in the middle of the story grieving my death. I then flash back to how I became a ghost. Finally, I remember the alien from the Deus Ex Machina example, and ask him to save me. He does, and I return to my former self. My example is, of course, the Odyssey. But the story starts with Odysseus telling a foreign king how he came to the island. We then flash back to his glorious adventure. After that is all recollected, he is then sailed back to his home Ithaca, and to make a very long story short, reclaims his kingdom after killing the man who tried to steal it from him. In a world where dogs and dinosaurs live together. Dogs and dinosaurs are the only people who can talk in this world. Who will survive? You killed my father! Man! I'm going to kill you! Coming this summer. Dogs versus dinosaurs. Suspense means a state or condition of mental uncertainty or excitement, as in awaiting a decision or outcome, usually accompanied by a degree of apprehension or anxiety. This example shows the conflicts and problems of the dinosaurs and dogs, hinting at various things that might happen in the story. It shows a mental uncertainty, it doesn't tell us the outcome of the story, and, if you're invested, shows a great amount of anxiety. What also fits the definition is Of Mice and Men. After the climax, it really does get suspenseful. You feel for these characters as they try to fix what they've crushed. Their dreams are ruined, and we have no idea what's going to happen to any of them. Who will die? Who will live? It draws out so perfectly that once you find out what does happen, you must cry at the result. It really is another story I think of this example, for it truly is the epitome of all the books we have read. I am Matt McMahon, and Of Mice and Men is one of the best books of all time. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. This may sound a bit ridiculous, but I'm gonna do dance credits.
Oh wait, it's over?